There are two types of people in this world. The first type craves a loyal companion, someone who wags their tail enthusiastically the moment your key touches the lock. A creature that views you as the center of the universe and is ready to obey any command in exchange for a pat on the head. And then there is the second type, those who volunteer to share their living space with a quiet roommate, someone who frequently observes you from the top of the refrigerator with a detached gaze, unimpressed, and seemingly entirely devoid of the need to beg for approval from anyone. Welcome to the complex, often misunderstood, but scientifically fascinating world of cat lovers. For decades, pop culture has turned cat people into caricatures. It's the crazy cat lady surrounded by dozens of felines, the quiet loner, or the socially detached villain stroking a white Persian in the shadows. But those images were never really about cats. They were a reflection of society's discomfort with people who don't perform connections the way the crowd expects them to. Modern psychological science tells a very different story. Your attraction to cats isn't random. It isn't a quirky habit. And it certainly isn't because you are antisocial. It is a signal, a biological and psychological fingerprint that reveals how you process emotion, how you regulate stress, how you perceive personal freedom, and how your nervous system seeks safety. Cat lovers aren't drawn to obedience, they are drawn to coexistence. They don't need constant feedback, they need presence without pressure. They don't need to be adored, they need to feel regulated. Today, we aren't here to look at cute kittens. We are here to decode what your love for cats quietly reveals about your true self. We are going to break down old prejudices to understand why your nervous system chose the feline as a companion in your healing journey. The real question isn't whether you love cats. The question is, why? Our modern culture is built on visibility. Being expressive, energetic, constantly available, and emotionally legible is treated as the baseline for a healthy or socially skilled person. Anyone who doesn't fit that mold is quickly labeled as withdrawn, strange, or cold. Cat lovers challenge that narrative. They don't broadcast their inner world loudly. They don't seek constant interaction to feel connected. And they don't confuse noise with intimacy. This makes them easy to misunderstand in a culture that equates presence with performance. But psychology tells us something important. The absence of constant expression is not an emotional absence, it is regulation. Many cat lovers are deep observers. They track subtle shifts in tone, body language, and the emotional atmosphere. They may say less, but they notice more. And because they don't rely heavily on external cues to feel secure, they don't feel the need to prove connection through constant engagement. Society frames this as detachment, but in reality, it is selectivity. Cat lovers aren't avoiding connection, they are avoiding unnecessary stimulation. They choose environments and relationships that respect their internal rhythm. When you stop measuring social health by volume, attention, or false enthusiasm, the stereotype collapses. What looks like distance from the outside is often discernible from the inside. Psychologists often describe personality through 5 core traits, known as the Big Five: openness, conscientiousness, extraversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. When researchers compare people who identify as cat lovers with those who prefer dogs, clear and consistent patterns emerge. Cat lovers tend to score higher in openness to experience. On paper, that means creativity, curiosity, and comfort with complexity. But from the inside, it looks like a mind that doesn't settle easily for simple explanations. Cat lovers are often drawn to ideas, art, and perspectives that don't fit neatly into social norms. They are more willing to sit with ambiguity, to explore internal worlds, and to question why things are done a certain way instead of accepting tradition by default. They also score lower in extroversion. This is where the misunderstanding begins. Lower extroversion doesn't mean social incompetence or a lack of interest in others. It means your energy flows inward before it flows out. Social interaction for a cat lover always comes with an energy cost: noise, unpredictability, and the demand for constant response drain them rather than energize them. They may love people deeply, but in smaller doses and with more space in between. Research also shows slightly higher levels of neuroticism among cat people. In psychology, this doesn't mean instability, it means sensitivity. It is a heightened awareness of internal states and environmental cues. Cat lovers often notice stress earlier, feel emotional shifts faster, and react strongly to overstimulation. This isn't a flaw, it's an early warning system. From the outside, this inner life is mostly invisible. Cat people rarely announce when something overwhelms them. Instead, they quietly adjust, seeking calm, control, and predictability. A barking dog, an unstructured social environment, or constant demands for attention can feel like an intrusion to a nervous system that is already finely tuned. Cats fit this psychology perfectly. They don't impose themselves. They don't escalate energy abruptly. They move slowly, predictably, and with clear boundaries. For someone high in openness and sensitivity, that presence feels stabilizing. So, when cat lovers say they prefer cats, what they are really expressing is the alignment between their nature and their environment, and between their inner world and the kind of companionship that allows it to function without overload. At a certain point, personality stops being the most useful explanation, because what separates cat people from dog people isn't just how they think or behave, it's how their nervous systems respond to the world. Many cat people have highly responsive nervous systems. They pick up on subtle changes in sound, movement, mood, and expectation. Their baseline isn't numbness, it's awareness. In a world that is loud, fast, and constantly demanding engagement, that level of awareness can become exhausting. This is why framing the difference as just a personality preference falls short. What is really happening is regulation. Some nervous systems feel calmer when there is frequent interaction and external feedback. They regulate through activity. Dogs are perfect for that. Other nervous systems regulate through stillness, predictability, and the absence of pressure. These systems don't need constant stimulation to feel secure. They need environments that don't overwhelm them in the first place. Cats provide exactly that. A cat doesn't rush toward you to discharge energy. It settles into a space and lets you settle with it. There is no requirement to respond, perform, or manage someone else's emotional state. You are allowed to appear exactly as you are. This kind of coexistence is especially soothing for people whose nervous systems spend much of the day anticipating, adapting, or self-monitoring. For them, calm isn't boredom, it's recovery. When someone says, "I don't like dogs," they're too much. They aren't rejecting connection, they are describing overstimulation. When they say, "I like cats," they're peaceful. They are describing regulation. Cat people aren't choosing distance, they are choosing environments that allow their bodies to downshift, to reduce vigilance, and to rest without being entirely isolated. Once you view this through the lens of the nervous system, the preference stops looking quirky. It starts looking adaptive. There is a reason a cat, an efficient, solitary predator, can make you feel an almost irrational urge to protect it. Your brain isn't responding to logic. It's responding to an evolutionary shortcut called the baby schema, a set of visual cues that evolution hardwired into humans to ensure we care for our young. Large eyes, rounded heads, and soft movements. When the brain detects these features, it releases caretaking impulses before conscious thought can intervene. Domestic cats match this pattern remarkably well. When a cat looks up at you, your brain registers an infant, not a hunter. But this goes deeper than cuteness. For many cat lovers, this dynamic feels safe because it is a one-directional flow without emotional demands. Caring flows outward, but without the expectation of constant reciprocity. The cat doesn't ask you to be cheerful. It doesn't need reassurance. This is especially resonant for people who had to self-regulate early in life. Offering care can feel easier than receiving it. Nurturing something that doesn't intrude allows for closeness without the overload of vulnerability. Cats are masters of this balance. They accept care without entitlement. They seek closeness without consuming it. Therefore, when you feel that instinctive pull toward a cat, it isn't weakness. It's an ancient biological response, meeting a psychological need for safe connection. For many cat lovers, this bond is safe in a way that human relationships often aren't. To understand why, you have to look at attachment and consent. Human relationships are filled with unspoken demands and expectations to match emotional energy. Cats don't operate that way. A cat never assumes access to you. Its affection is offered, not imposed. When it chooses to sit beside you, it does so without expectations of eye contact or emotional performance. And when it leaves, it doesn't require a justification. Mutual respect for boundaries creates something rare, connection without intrusion. Psychologically, this aligns with how cat lovers experience attachment. Many are not avoidant of intimacy, but they are avoidant of pressure. They want closeness that unfolds naturally. Cats teach us that attachment doesn't require constant proof. In a world where relationships often demand more than they offer, cats provide a quiet reminder. Connection doesn't have to cost your nervous system to be real. Many cat lovers are described as analytical or creative. While research finds correlations with higher education, the real factor is how their minds work when undisturbed. Deep thinking requires uninterrupted attention. For people wired this way, constant interruption fractures thought. Cats don't interrupt. They coexist alongside your focus. Their presence fills a space without fragmenting it. Solitude in this context isn't isolation, it is cognitive freedom. Modern culture treats solitude as something to fix. But for cat people, quiet is where clarity forms. It is where emotions organize and ideas mature. Choosing a quieter life doesn't mean rejecting others. It means rejecting unnecessary interference. So, perhaps this script was never really about cats. Perhaps it was about the kind of nervous system you have and the kind of world it feels safest in. If you are drawn to cats, it doesn't mean you are distant or cold. It means you are wired for subtlety, for presence without pressure, and for connection that doesn't demand constant output. Your system settles in environments where nothing forces you to be louder or faster than you actually are. And for some, that quiet companionship is exactly what allows them to feel human again. If any part of this video made you feel seen, know that you are not alone. This is a space for those who experience the world deeply and quietly. Remember, your need for silence and autonomy is not a system error. It is how you protect the light within you. Thank you for listening, and may you find peace alongside your